6th, 2020. Our invocation this evening will be offered by Shirley Murdoch, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Father in heaven, we come before thee this evening in the attitude of a city council meeting, and we're sure grateful, Father in heaven, to be able to be together in person. And we ask special blessings upon our outgoing council members, Kurt Doherty and Scott Robertson and Tom Van Camp, as they go forward with their lives. And we wish to welcome our new council members, Daniel Holberg and Bryce Stewart and Michael Steinmeier, as they take their roles upon the council, and to give them guidance and discernment. And we are so grateful for our mayor, and we're grateful for Karen DeLucy and Mike Huff and John Perkins, that are our veteran council members, and that they can be a strength to those that are incoming. And we ask thee to bless the heads of departments and the officials, and especially our policemen and our firemen that risk their lives to keep us safe. And Heavenly Father, please bless our medical people, those that are striving to develop medicine and vaccines for the COVID-19 virus, and the medical people that are in overload in the hospitals that are caring for the victims of this virus that's created this pandemic around the world. We ask blessings upon them, and us as citizens of Independence, that we might be protected against the virus and do the things that are needful to bring it to bay, so that we can once again enjoy the normal life of associating with one another. We ask these blessings, Heavenly Father, and give thee our deep love and appreciation in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Council members Huff. Here. Perkins.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
DeLucy.
Here.
Steinmeier.
Here.
Hobart.
Here.
Mayor Weir.
Here. We have two citizens' requests to speak to the council tonight. The first is Joshua Hassan, request to speak to the council regarding the police fund allocation. Mr. Hassan?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. We stand at the brink, yet I don't see this as an ending, but as the beginning of a new era. I see this as the beginning of an era in which those of different nationalities, colors, ethnicities, and backgrounds can flourish, prosper, and thrive, not merely fight to survive. It is high time that the ways of our failing system be remedied. We are a nation that needs to be made whole. The time for change is now. The time for action is now. The idea that violence and crime can be bought out seems to prevail in our society. Yet it takes concern and care for a community. We need more enrichment programs and job fairs, not more tactical gear and police enforcers. Start healing our people and stop policing them. Move away from more armed forces and work with our community. If you win the people's hearts, they will surely support you. But if you continue to spread fear and mistrust, the people will surely rise up. For how can they not? Police were put in place to protect and serve, not create a new class of citizens above the law and beholding to none but their own. They are in office of the people and should act as such. It's time we do away with aggressive policing and start doing what matters most. Be aggressive in educating the community. Be aggressive in promoting entrepreneurship to all. Be aggressive with the passion for helping the homeless and for stopping hunger within our community. I envision an era where you can walk into a neighborhood and no matter if you're in a predominantly white or black, Hispanic, indigenous, or any community, you will see beauty and success. I mean, why shouldn't we all prosper? For when we all prosper, is that not better than the alternative? Our system has failed so many of our people. We cut funding for social programs and consistently increase funding for a brutalistic system inherently designed to protect and uplift some while keeping their knees on the necks of others. When you spend millions more in police funding than in its people, you will see a people's unrest. The system is supposed to support people, not tear them down, not to restrain them in such a way that is not only degrading, but excessive and wholly unacceptable. I envision independence being a place that can live up to its namesake. But until we make serious changes in what's considered important, we will continue to be a community divided. We need to stop flooding funding into a system that promotes violence and instead fund social programs on mental health, domestic violence, homelessness, and drug addiction, just to name a few. We need to stop using police as a catch-all and start using constructive and positive ways to transform our community. If one thing is clear, it's that the ways of the world now are not adequate. No, they are unacceptable. I ask that the council take a long and hard look at where our priorities lie. When the police department funding takes up almost 7 times more money than our budget for community development, and that's a $30 million difference, how can you expect people to not cry out for help? I urge you to reallocate funding from our police department immediately and focus on programs to get homeless and drug-addicted citizens off the street. Let's immediately reallocate funds to not only housing, but job initiatives and more food resources. I mean, the pantries can't keep up with the numbers, so let's stop the numbers.
You have 1 minute.
Let's nurture and heal our community instead of treating people as second-class citizens, not worthy of our concern. Let's start to heal this community and watch how it flourishes. Let's finally heal our community and help the people of Independence, and let us be the example of a better way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan. Laura Dominic wishes to address the council on lobbying firms. Ms. Dominic will be attending virtually, Madam City Clerk.
Becky, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Laura Dominic, 3525 Blue Ridge Boulevard. Madam Mayor and council members, thank you for letting me share my thoughts on the issue of retaining lobbying firms by the city. Councilwoman DeLucy has a proposal on tonight's agenda to reduce the number of lobbying firms to 1 from 2 and to limit the budget for the one firm to $90,000 to $120,000. I am an advocate for conservative fiscal spending and would normally be in favor of having only one lobbyist if it would save us money. But after listening to the update 2 weeks ago from our current lobbyist, I'm not in favor of limiting the city's ability now to hire only one lobbyist and cap the fee at $120,000. Strategic Capital lobbied 113 bills for IPL last year, and by getting IPL excluded from just one bill, saved the city $1 million, which is nearly 10 times the fee they were paid. That's one hell of a return on investment, even before you consider the other bills they worked on, like SB 526, which would have cost the city $1.3 million, or HB 1768, which would have allowed a cap on pole attachment fees the city can charge the telecom giant for the use of our infrastructure. John Barget's firm followed approximately 200 bills for the benefit of the city, including two large ongoing issues which are critical to the financial future of the city: the Wayfair legislation and the failure to appear legislation. I don't think you can expect one firm to follow the same number of bills with the same level of service we currently receive from two firms for a max rate of $120,000. By passing this resolution tonight, you risk one or more of the following: a reduction in the number of bills lobbied for in the city's favor, having to hire a firm with less experience and less established relationships with the legislators, and or losing a piece of legislation that could cost the city hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. There are also other things to consider before making a decision on lobbying firms, including an upcoming election and the ongoing effects of COVID-19 on the city's financial position. The city has an RFP process, which, by the way, was enhanced last month because of a material weakness uncovered by the auditors in the single audit report. So why not let the process play out and make an educated, fiscally responsible decision once the bids are in, instead of hamstringing the city right now? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dominic. Are there any other citizens who wish to address the council tonight? Okay. This takes us to our presentation resolutions. We are woefully behind in recognizing our employees of the month, so we're going to do all four of these this evening for April, May, June, and July, and we will present them with their resolution and at a later date. They are not here with us this evening to receive these. So, Madam City Clerk, will you proceed with the first Employee of the Month recognition?
Bill number 20-730, a resolution recognizing Alicia Nelson of the Water Pollution Control Department as the Employee of the Month for April 2020.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes.
Bill number 20-731, a resolution recognizing Austin Jett of the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department as the Employee of the Month for May 2020.
Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Can we get a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Motion passes.
Bill number 20-732, a resolution recognizing Steve Arnold of the Independence Power and Light Department as the Employee of the Month for June 2020.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Motion passes.
Bill number 20-733, a resolution recognizing Jennifer Kim of the Municipal Services Department as the Employee of the Month for July 2020.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem, this brings us to the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move for the approval of the reports and recommendations of the city manager.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any items any council member wishes pulled for separate consideration? I know Councilman Steinmeier had informed me earlier that he wishes to pull 19, 20, and 21. Is that correct, Councilman?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to pull 18.
That's already been pulled. 18, I'm sorry, I said the wrong numbers. 18, 19, and 20 were the ones that Councilman Steinmeier had asked to be pulled. Unless I'm numbered wrong.
My number's wrong here.
Am I numbered wrong? Okay,
19, 20, 21.
all right, hang on. Okay, sorry. 19, 20, and 21. Okay. And you want to pull 18?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, are there any other items any council member wishes pulled for separate consideration? I would like to pull, since my numbers are out, 22. Okay, are there any others? Okay, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agendas minus items 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22?
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier, Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Councilmember Steinmeier, we'll start with item number 19.
Thank you, Mayor. I requested some information from the city manager to look at the protocols and procedures for the city-owned suites at the new Cable Dahmer Arena, and I just wanted some clarification on what those suites were to be used for. Mr. City Manager, could you share with us what the agreement is?
Yes, the City of Independence owns the facility. We contract with a third-party firm, Spectra, to manage the facility for us. Under that agreement, the city has ownership of 2 suites during some of the tenant events like the Mavericks and the Comets, and then the special events like concerts, et cetera. The city has access to 1 suite. In reading this resolution, it's my understanding we don't have firm guidelines about how the access to that suite is administered, and this resolution would ask us to take a look at that, make some recommendations for the council's consideration, but as part of that, put some prioritization around utilizing that for volunteers of the city, boards and commission members, some of the civic and nonprofit groups, et cetera. So I believe, if I recall, this would have us reporting back within 30 days with some recommendations to that end.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions on item number 19?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just for our new colleagues, in the past, that is something that we have done, that we have put priority to the boards and commissions and the high schools and some of the community organizations that are out there. So that has been put in a top priority, and those records are kept through the mayor's office to where they can be reviewed and looked at. But as of now, I think our policy of doing that has been pretty effective.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councilman Steinmeier would like to make a motion for approval.
Yeah, I move that we approve 20-752.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Item number 19 passes. Councilmember Steinmeier, item number 20.
Yes, I was requesting that this resolution be used, I'm sorry. We have attack shields here all over.
Yeah, it's a little tricky up here.
Sorry. Okay, sorry. Just with the learning of our first firefighter who was diagnosed with or was tested positive for the COVID-19, I just wanted to make sure that we're getting information on the protocols and procedures to protect our first responders, make sure that they have adequate care, make sure that our data is current and as live as it can be, and brought to us as often as possible so that we can speak into and inform the people that we represent adequately and fairly. So that's what I have.
Councilman Huff?
Yes, I was wondering, I think I'm falling apart here. On this, have they ever determined if it's workman's comp or, I mean, how is that determined?
We did work with the state and through the governor's office to get a declaration from the governor that if a member of the public safety receives a confirmed positive, that it will be presumed to be a workplace, just as if it were any other physical injury, and therefore treated under workers' compensation.
So they're not charged sick leave or vacation or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments on item number 20?
Madam Mayor, I move that we pass 20-753.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Item number 20 passes. Councilmember Steinmeier, item number 21.
Okay, thank you. The motivation of this resolution, I just want to be clear, was strictly economical. Being new to the council, I feel a obligation, responsibility of the taxpayers to make sure that we're spending the money that they send to us appropriately. So there was no malicious intent in terms of our behaviors towards the chamber. I take that serious, and it's an obligation that I want to make sure that everyone understands that I feel an obligation to make sure that our tax dollars are appropriated the way they're intended to. So facing tough financial decisions, we are working with revenue losses as a result of the pandemic. And so I know that the role of the chamber plays in our business community, and it is important, and we need to continue investing in the chamber. And we're looking for a value proposition in our relationship tied to the investment so that we can be accountable to the taxpayers as to the return on investment. So I'm asking this item be postponed, Madam Mayor, for 14 days, and I'm asking the city manager to meet with the chamber leadership to develop a contract for services at a negotiated rate with the chamber, and then we can review that proposal in 14 days and recommend the need for this resolution at that time.
Okay, very good. So there's a motion to postpone this item until July the 20th. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, motion passes. Item number 22 is Resolution 2755, which Ms. Dominic spoke about just a few minutes ago. This is a resolution directing the city manager to retain only one lobbying firm for legislative advocacy in the amount to range between $90,000 and $120,000. I echo Councilman Steinmeier's concerns about our city economics and the unknown future of our revenues and what might be available for various consulting services that we use throughout the year. However, I think this is premature at this point. Our lobbying contracts expire at the end of October. Our goal typically is to have a lobbying firm in place by December 1st, which is when pre-filing of bills begins. And I think that, we certainly have a lot to consider, although the performance of our lobbying team has been exemplary, and we have achieved a tremendous amount of savings for the city, as well as some great legislation that helps not only us, but our region, and I would say the state of Missouri. There's a lot that is still on the plate right now in Jefferson City, including a House Bill 1854 that has great implications for us, the Wayfair legislation, which could bring an incredible amount of new revenue to the state and to the city. Certainly the cable franchise fee that we have worked very hard to preserve, but is still a card that could be yet to be played if a special session is called later this year. So we have a little ways to go yet, and in this session, although the session is officially closed, we still have the veto session and potentially a special session. So I would ask the council to vote this down this evening and revisit this at a later date when we have a more clear picture of our finances and, quite frankly, of the political landscape. We don't know what the elections are how the elections are going to change things in November, and we don't know how the General Assembly is going to operate come January, and how many bills may be filed. It may be a very different session than we are used to. So I am going to vote no on this tonight and revisit this expenditure at a later date. So I would move for approval of item 22.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to speak on to this.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Councilmember DeLucy.
I believe the first lobbying contract expires in August, and the second lobbying contract expires in October. When I joined the council in 2014, we spent $60,000 a year on a lobbyist. In 2016, that $60,000 all of a sudden became $90,000. Then it became $180,000. And over the years, we have spent $240,000 each and every year for lobbyists. We cannot afford it. There is no reason one lobby firm cannot represent the city interests of this town. It's not that hard. We have two good firms. I'm not trying to pick between the firms we've got. I personally want the most effective firm. But $240,000 when we had to borrow $25 million from our enterprise funds is not acceptable to me. I want this passed. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember.
Thank you, Mayor. I was on the screening committee when this discussion came up some years back about hiring another firm that can give us some lobbying strength in Jeff City. As everyone knows, things move pretty quickly, things move pretty fast down there. We were a municipality who owned our own utility that did not have our own lobbyist designated team down there that could really focus in, help us. It's not so much what our lobbyists bring home as in money, like Ms. Dominic said. It's what they save us from having to spend, which goes back to where the taxpayers would have to spend money to help offset whatever goofy legislation Jeff City tries to put through. So being on that screening committee, the council saw it wise to get another firm down there so we can get our legislation passed or legislation blocked, depending on what is taking place. This is money that is most certainly well spent. To the $25 million, we have not spent $25 million from that, so let's be very accurate when we make those statements. That money has not been spent. But I am going to vote this down as well. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Huff?
Yes, at the time when this utility lobbyist was introduced down at Power and Light, I know that they specialized in that end of it. They were the large poles that come in, the big cell tower poles that come in, put one in Drum Farm, one down by Home Depot. And I know this lobbyist out there representing Power and Light was able to get them moved, especially in our no overhead line places. I know he's very active in that. I have to say I'll be voting no on this also.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll on item number 22?
Councilmembers Huff,
No.
Perkins,
No.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
No.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
No. Item number 22 fails. This brings us to,
Madam Mayor, item 18.
oh, I'm sorry. That's what I got for going out of order. Number 18, Councilmember DeLucy.
This is a contract for the IBEW electrical workers to approve a contract wage increase of 1% for 2 consecutive years. And I have to say that our IBEW of IPL are the highest paid workers in the area, number one. Number two, this is going to cost this city $94,000 in retroactive increase in pay and $144,000 in prospective increases in pay. Every other employee in this town is not getting a raise. This raise is not justified, we can't afford it, and I will move approval of it, but I'm voting no on it.
Councilman Huff?
Yes, I can remember a day when down at Power and Light, we was the lowest paid, and we just took anybody that had a journeyman ticket, whether they was qualified or not, which is material. We ended up having all kinds of issues down there. Through the years, the city has chosen to get out there and spend some money and get the highest qualified people, which has a very big effect on our efficiencies here. I know they are highly paid. I don't think this is unreasonable at 1%, but in order to keep this talent here, we've already cut insurance. We keep playing games with benefits because of the economic thing, and I think this is really justified. That I think 1% is going to hurt that utility out there. We don't have any trouble taking money from there for other things, and so I believe the employees deserve that. That's all I have to say.
Okay, are there any, I'm sorry, Councilmember DeLucy, would you like to make a motion and then we can have discussion? Or did you?
I did.
And was it seconded?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Steinmeier.
Was this agreement negotiated with the city pre-pandemic?
Mr. City Manager?
The work agreement with this particular bargaining unit had expired November of 2019, so negotiations began prior to November of 2019. The vote on it by the membership happened after the state of emergency was declared, but the negotiations began prior to the what we would do. I use the line of demarcation as the date the state of emergency was declared, and it started several months in advance of that.
So both sides had agreed to the 1% prior to?
The negotiations began, the membership in IBW, IPL Local 53 voted to endorse this after the date of the state of emergency declaration.
Okay.
So the negotiations were, well, on their way, leading up to something coming before the council for final approval. Those negotiations were not completed prior to the state of emergency. I dare say they were not at 1% where we left them, but the membership voted to accept the 1% for this period of time and asked us to bring that forward to the council. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Hobart.
we've got to start somewhere with getting employees raises again, and even if it's this style of, I don't even know if this reaches cost of living raise. And we can't deal with historically what their raises have been at IBEW. They've been larger than other places, that's admitted. Is that correct, Mr. Walker?
Correct.
So, it's my understanding that police and fire both agreed to put off negotiations until next year on their contracts, is that right?
Police department we're still meeting with the fire department at this time, working, primarily at this point, we've been working on operating language, haven't really embarked on a deep dive on financials at this time. That conversation has been slower to develop.
Fair enough. I appreciate the update. So my goal with this is that this would be a baseline for other city employees to receive raises. I understand it's not happening this year. That's unfortunate. But I would see this as a beginning and a low water mark that we need to hit for all employees on top of hopefully ultimately bringing back everybody's benefits and health insurance. So that's my comment.
Okay, is there any other discussion on item number 18? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes?
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
No.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes, item number 18 passes. Okay, this takes us to our non-ordinance action item. Madam City Clerk.
Second amendment to the intergovernmental cooperative agreement between the Nolan Road Community Improvement District and the City of Independence.
Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes?
Perkins,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Steinmeier,
Yes.
Hobart,
Yes.
Mayor Weir.
Yes. Okay, this takes us to our first readings. These will have their first reading this evening and their second reading for consideration by the council on July the 20th. Madam City Clerk.
Bill number 20-045, an ordinance vacating an existing 5-foot sanitary easement recorded in book 1478 at page 18 of the Jackson County deed records and located at 11004 East 40 Highway. Bill number 20-046, an ordinance vacating an existing 15-foot sanitary easement recorded in book 1478 at page 18 of the Jackson County deed records and located at 11004 East 40 Highway. Bill number 20-047, an ordinance vacating an existing 15-foot utility easement recorded on instrument number 2014 E0029183, Book 149, page 83 of the Jackson County deed records and located at 11004 East 40 Highway. Bill number 20-048, an ordinance approving a rezoning from District C2 General Commercial to District R6 Single Family Residential for the property at 2415 South R.D. Mize Road in Independence, Missouri. Bill number 20-049, an ordinance approving a rezoning from Districts R6 Single Family Residential and C2 General Commercial to District C3 Service Commercial for the property at 603 East US 24 Highway and 909 North Emory Street in Independence, Missouri. Bill number 20-050, an ordinance approving a rezoning from District C1 Neighborhood Commercial to District RA Residential Agriculture for the property at 2000 North LC Smith Road in Independence, Missouri. Bill number 20-051, an ordinance approving a preliminary development plan for the Center for the Developmentally Disabled at 2740 and 2742 South Inglewood Terrace. Bill number 20-052, an ordinance authorizing a contract with the Department of Justice for the 2020 Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program in the amount of $133,415, appropriating the necessary funds in the Police Department operating budget, making the necessary appropriations, authorizing future change orders for additional funding and/or time extensions, and authorizing certain future appropriations. Bill number 20-053, an ordinance finding, determining, and declaring the necessity of acquiring temporary construction and grading easements for the Bison Park Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project, project number 302003, authorizing the negotiation and eminent domain proceedings if necessary, approving the plans and specifications for the project, authorizing the use of experts as needed, authorizing and directing the execution of documents and the payment of funds to property owners or others holding property rights in conjunction with the project.
Okay, thank you very much. This brings us to council member comments. I'll start on my left with Councilman Hobart.
None tonight, Your Honor, or Madam Mayor, thank you.
I know, it's a hard thing to get used to when you're a lawyer.
It is.
Councilman Steinmeier.
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Councilmember DeLucy.
I just want to thank the mayor and our employees. This has been a really difficult several months. And it's hard. And each day it gets harder. And so I applaud you and I thank you. And thanks for all the citizens. It's not easy when somebody tells you to put on a mask when you don't want to put on a mask. So I sincerely do appreciate everyone's cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Huff.
I had a couple things. Down at 23rd and Lee Summit, my sidewalk, looks like they was making a move on that today. Mr. City Manager, on that, you know, these guys pay $75 for opening a hole, $75 for the inspection at the end. I don't know what a street cut is, a sidewalk, maybe $150. I know you've revamped that Public Works up there, or working on that, but of course no one's admitting to this, so now we're dealing with city funds, which I don't think is correct. That I would like to see that stepped up there when somebody pulls a permit, somebody goes out there, it's just not a blanket thing, because now we're using taxpayers' money or water. I'm not sure what's going on up there, but the main thing is the sidewalks being fixed. I do appreciate that. It's been a mess. But probably need to keep a little better tabs on these contractors running around all over the city. Second thing I wanted to thank all the people that put in their applications for these boards and commissions. Me, Mayor, and Councilman Perkins were on that, and it was very, very impressive that we had a lot of people wanting to be on a board, and the most impressive thing was a lot of younger people. Really glad to see them getting involved and wanting to get in there, and hopefully we can find positions for them and let them voice their opinion. Other than that, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Perkins.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Councilman Stewart.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. I was very impressed with the candidates that we interviewed and who applied for our boards and commissions. Unfortunately, we didn't have spots for everybody, but we will certainly keep them in mind and encourage others to step forward and put in your application and learn about how you might have the opportunity to participate. We will soon also we received a number of applications to serve on our Southwest Independence 353 board. We sent a letter to residents in the area and received a lot of response. So we will begin to look at those, and that's an exciting project that's going to be coming along in the 4th District. Councilmember DeLucy, I appreciate your kind words, and it definitely has been a very challenging almost 4 months, and you know, for all of us on the council, and certainly everybody in our staff, and certainly our citizens and our business owners, and just a lot of changes that require a lot of flexibility, a lot of patience, and the current order by the county requiring masks, I know has caused a little bit of additional confusion. Every time there is a change, it causes a little bit more confusion. The county has put out some very good information on their website and on their social media channels that really clearly explains what the order means if you're out and about, and certainly for business owners what they're expected to enforce in their business. And you know, we're talking about exactly what enforcement means for the city. But there is a form on their website. If a business is in violation and you wish to report that, it's on the county website, and I think there's some very clear instructions about what this mask requirement is outlined to achieve, and hopefully it won't last for very long if we can see some positive movement in our city and in our county and in our state. So we understand how difficult and trying it is, and we're trying to do our best to protect our community, number one, and keep you informed. So thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, anything else this evening?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, we are adjourned.